So our feature presenter is the founder and CEO of Power Formula LLC. He helps individuals and organizations find the most important LinkedIn features and tactics, and then helps them apply them to their situation to get real results on LinkedIn. So he's the best-selling author of The Power Formula for LinkedIn Success, now in its 3rd edition, and is a nationally recognized LinkedIn consultant, speaker, and trainer. So one thing you might not know about our feature presenter is that he is a certified public accountant and still holds his license after almost 35 years. So LinkedIn accountant, yeah, he's in one big package. Yeah, exactly.
I'm not gonna scare you away, though. It's going to be good.
So today he's here to share what steps you should take each week in just 1 hour to get LinkedIn results. So without further ado, give a warm Business Accelerator welcome to Wayne Breitbarth.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Chris. It's great to be back at the DreamBank. It's always fun to be here. I love the people that come, and I love all the people online that are joining us today. I've got some really cool stuff for you about LinkedIn and sort of how to really get some results and have a plan. I've been teaching LinkedIn for 10 years now, and over those years, I went from just showing people how to do their profiles to helping salespeople how to figure out how to find customers and nonprofits and you name it. But what I get from a lot of people is, Wayne, it's such a complex tool with lots of opportunities, but can you just give me a plan? And that's what we're going to do today. So today I'm going to show you what you should be doing on a weekly basis as it relates to LinkedIn to get some results, okay? And it's 1 hour a week. And that's this handout that we're going to go through in detail, the LinkedIn Game Plan for Success. And I'll take you through those steps. And we'll have time for Q&A, so be sure to have some questions at the end. I'd love that. I actually enjoy that part a ton. Okay, so let's get started with a little bit about where's LinkedIn as we stand here in 2018. You know, what's the status? What's been changing? What's been going on? So Microsoft bought LinkedIn a year ago, and we all woke up last year about this time, and we booted our computer, and we go, what? That's my LinkedIn? I want the old one back. I was getting so many emails wanting to take me back to my old LinkedIn. I don't like the new one. Okay, and there was all that kind of, everybody thought it was the end of the world, including me, because I'm not a change guy either. So Microsoft bought the place, and they made a bunch of changes. They probably made way too many changes too fast, because what they did subsequent to you receiving that new LinkedIn was they brought stuff back that they had previously taken away. And I was encouraged by that. I was encouraged that by June, we had gotten some of the stuff that they took away in January or February and gave it back to us on the free account. I'm always speaking of the free account. And the old LinkedIn would have never done that, I don't think. The old LinkedIn would have said, we're LinkedIn, we can do whatever the heck we want. But I think Microsoft is a little more business focused, and I think they heard the squawking. So I'm encouraged by Microsoft and what's going on. But what they did do on the profile that I think is critical to everybody to know this change, they closed a bunch of important boxes on your profile and jammed them under See More, View More Positions. If you notice. Before, our profile used to be wide open, and people could scroll all the way, see your summary in full, see all your jobs, see everything, see everything, see everything. Now, they took your summary, and they jammed it behind a drawer that's only 200 characters to intrigue people on the 200 characters. So the summary, as we were talking before, used to be the thing I would spend time with people on their summary. Now I think it's important, but not like it used to be. Make that first 200 characters, got to be really interesting so people will click to see more. In your job entries, it only shows you 5 job entries, but they are wide open. Initially, they weren't, by the way. Initially, the first LinkedIn we got last year was every job entry was closed with no detail, and you had to click to actually see that it was terrible. Now they at least give us 5 job entries, your last 5, wide open, and then everything else says see more positions. So be aware of that. Be aware that the strategy has changed a bit, and you should look at your profile as if you're either a customer or a hiring executive or whatever you're trying to accomplish, and go, is my profile look the way I want it to look, or now is some of my best information jammed behind one of those doors? Now, we're not going to cover a lot about profile because I could spend a whole hour on profile today, but I wanted you to take that away, that you should make sure that your profile displays the way you want it, both on the computer and on the phone. There are some differences. Make sure that you look right on your phone. A couple of profile tips before we get into the game plan. Here's the deal. Your profile better be ready before you do this stuff. Because this stuff is going to be having you meet people you've never met before, but people you'd love to meet, right? That's what this is. But if your profile's not clear what you're trying to accomplish and who your target audience is, then you're going to be bringing people over to your profile and they're going to go, huh? That's not interesting to me. Why would that person want me to connect with them? I see nothing there that resonates with me. So the quick 2 minutes on your profile is this. Here's the 2 strategies. Lots of keywords in the right places. Search engine will like that. Search engine likes more keywords is better. So you got to know your keywords. What do you think people are Googling you for? Whether it's a job seeker, it's the words that they Google you for. If it's a business, it's what do you sell? Lots of keywords in the right places. What are the 3 hot spots? Headline, job titles, notice I said yes, plural, and skills. Those 3 sections, you better have your best keywords. Second strategy on your profile is this. Lots of great stories about you and your company, if that's part of your story. Lots of great stories. Storytelling is so critical these days. If we can't tell our story, or if we're hesitant to tell our story because we don't want to brag, I don't know how many times when I do consultations with people, maybe they're looking for work, right? And they'll send me their resume, and I'll have their profile, and we're on the phone doing a consultation, and I'll go, why does your resume look so much better than your profile? Well, I don't know. I mean, that's what you're supposed to put on your resume, Wayne. I don't know. I'm supposed to put it over here. I said, why wouldn't you? It's still an online identity. You should have everything that's on your resume over here and even more because you're not limited by space. Resumes were limited by space. LinkedIn, we almost have unlimited space. We have 2,000 characters for every job entry. So you got a lot more room for storytelling. So sort of get out of that feeling that you don't want to brag about yourself. It's so funny when I talk about storytelling and bragging. I remember the first time I showed my mother my profile. She was 76. And I said, hey, Ma, did you look at my LinkedIn profile? She said, I'm not on LinkedIn. I said, well, let's pull it up. I want to show you my profile. Because she knew I was doing it for a living at that point full time. And she starts looking at my profile and she starts scrunching her face like this. And I'm going, what's wrong, Ma? Don't you like my profile? She said, no, I don't like your profile at all. I said, why? I taught you better than that. I said, what do you mean you taught me better than that? She said, you're so braggy now. You sold all these books and you do all these events. She said, that's just not, I don't like that. I said, you probably even yelled at me when I was a kid. Yeah, probably. She said, so I don't like it. I said, Ma, here's the thing. If people don't call me because my profile doesn't look as good as the other people that say they do LinkedIn training, consulting, right? If they don't call me because I don't stand equal or better than them, I don't pay for the fish fry tomorrow night, now do I? Right? I usually buy the fish fry when I go up there, take my mom and dad out to eat. So she didn't quite get it that day, but check this out. She got it about 4 years later, and that was last summer. She sends me a text and goes, this weekend when we talk on the phone, I want you to ask me about your dad's new weed whacker. Okay, hey, Ma, how you doing? How's Dad? Dad, great. Tell me about your weed whacker thing. We want to talk about that. She said, well, I want to tell you how I bought the new weed whacker for your dad. And I said, good, what'd you do? And she said, well, I went online now. You know, that's what I do. I have 3 tablets, one for this. I said, yes, I know, you got 3 tablets, Ma. She said, well, I pulled my tablet up for my Googling. I said, okay, and what did you? And she said, I Googled weed whackers. And then I just started reading reviews. And I thumbs up and stars. I could tell the best weed whacker from all the reading I could do. And then I found that model number and I punched it into Home Depot and I got the price, and I punched it into Lowe's and I got the price, and I ordered the best weed whacker for the best price, and it showed up and he just loves it. I said, oh, okay. So you did all that work online and you had to read the reviews and the recommendations, and that helped you decide what to do, right, Mom? Oh, yeah. I said, remember when I showed you my profile and you didn't like it? Weed whacker. That's what I said. I said, weed whacker. I said, that's how people compare me too, Ma. They want to read those recommendations. They want to hear about the 100,000 books. I said, it's the same thing. And so she sort of got it, right? So the point is, if you don't stand tall, and the easiest way to find out if your profile is spot on, do this. Two things you can do. Find a client that loves you. A client that you have a good relationship with, a couple beers, lunchtime kind of friend, right? And say, you know what? Will you look at my profile and let me know that if you didn't know me, would you call me, or would you want an email from me about what I do to help you? Or don't I look good enough? I want you to be very critical and say, would my profile encourage you to want to get a hold of me? Right? That's one exercise you can go through. And tell them to be brutally honest. I said, number 2, think about your competitors. Now, most of us have competitors. If you don't, I want to be in your business. Okay? But most of us have competitors, right? Go to your competitors' profiles, print 6, 7, 8 of them. The people that you butt heads with all the time and you wish weren't your competitors, right? Print their profile, put it on your desk, and then print yours too. Do it on a Friday. Come in on Monday morning and pretend you're a customer. And read those 6 or 7 profiles and ask yourself this question: would you pick you? Because that's what's happening all the time. As we speak, they're comparing us to these other people that say they do the same thing as us, right? So that's 2 exercises I know will help you if you think about your profile. So I've got to move away from profile because we don't have an hour for profile. But just reminding you, lots of keywords in the right places, really good stories. If you need more help with your profile, I highly recommend you take advantage of something I'm going to talk about at the end, a consultation with me where I actually critique your profile. I'll explain that at the end. I've got a special offer for you. So profile's right. Let's assume that for the moment. Now we're going to get involved in the activities. What's the 1 hour a week and how am I going to do this? Okay, so let's get started. The reminder is I'm doing everything free. So regardless of whether you're on a paid LinkedIn, I'm not doing anything that's paid today. I'm doing only free LinkedIn searches. I think I am actually. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So free LinkedIn. What should you do? What's your game plan? Now, on this chart, I'm going to start with the invite column, but I will reference back to lay groundwork. So there's 5 steps that you're going to take to have your LinkedIn success. It's going to be lay the groundwork, invite people, follow up with people, engage and share. Those are the 5 steps, and I'm going to take you through and show you some of the very specific steps that we do on LinkedIn to do those things. Okay. But I'll come back to lay the groundwork. I'm going to skip a column and go right to invite. Okay? Now, I want you to think about this question I'm going to ask you. When was the last time you invited a total stranger to be in your LinkedIn network, but a person you didn't want to be a total stranger to? Okay? Most people don't do a lot of that. It's getting better. People are starting to get it as guys like me are preaching about it. But a lot of people, well, if I don't know them, why would I invite them? Because you want to know them. It's like coming to an event like this today. Part of it is me. Part of it is you're going to meet some nice people. Right? And if you sat down right to the exact right person for you today, you'd probably get in your car and say, honey, you won't believe what happened at lunch. I sat next to the exact right person. We already have a meeting for next week. I think she's going to buy from me or she's going to hire me. We can find the exact right people on LinkedIn. It's simple. There's 530 million people here now. 530 million. And they have LinkedIn profiles. So don't be afraid to start meeting some strangers who you don't want to be strangers. Now, how do we find strangers on LinkedIn? There's lots of ways. And that's the invite column. I'm going to show you just a few of these techniques. I'm going to show you the harder ones to find. Okay? I'm going to show you the ones that people don't understand or have never found the right button. On how do we find the right people on LinkedIn? How do we make the search engine work for us? Okay? Let's talk about the one that people should be using the most, and that's called advanced people searching. When you put your cursor in the search box, proactively click, okay? The menu comes up. Click people. Once you click people, you're now into the database of LinkedIn's looking for some people for you. Not jobs, not groups, people. Now, you're going to have one or two, you're going to have one, it could look different for you. I've got my filters on the right-hand side. You may have your filters up here. That seems to be the newer version where the filters drop down up here, but they're the same filters. Okay? But that's the part, this is the part of LinkedIn that drives us all crazy, is that you got one and I got this. And why? I can't even sit next to my best friend and do the same thing and tell her to click over here. That's just LinkedIn. It's what we got to live with. Okay, so yesterday I was doing a consult with somebody who called on logistics people, right? They sell services to logistics people at larger corporations. And I said, so, okay, 530 million people. Who do you want to find? Well, that's your job, Wayne. How do I get in this thing? Well, you typically get into this thing by going over here and going to the title line. Okay? If I put logistics, comes back with 500,000 people. And if I want to tighten it up by even more than that, I might put VP of Logistics or Director. $28,000. Okay? And if you want to tighten that down by, let's say, the ones in Madison, because you don't really want to travel, you've got enough business around here and you would like to stick around here, these are the 23 people that have that exact title in their profiles around Madison. If I want to add another city, if I want to branch out to Chicago, I can add those people. There's 662, right? So LinkedIn is just trying to find the right people for you, but you got to know what to do, and you got to use some Boolean search logic like this. Capital O, capital R. That means I want one or the other. Got to capitalize that. If you don't capitalize it, it's not going to work. LinkedIn follows what they say very close to Boolean search logic. They're not saying it's perfect, but they're saying very close to. And that's a Boolean. What are the couple of other Boolean operators? And, not nor, and quotes around two words like real estate, office furniture. You might put quotes around those so that it finds those two words exactly. Just play around with it. Just play around with it. Now, once you've done this search, you can then come back to the wildcard box and drop in another word to tighten the search down by a person who has that another tighter word in their profile so the list is smaller. Or you could do this. Think about coming over here and clicking second. So I went from 662 to 25. But that 25 is better than the 662. Why? Because every one of those 25, I've got friends that know these people. That's the power of LinkedIn, okay? Start thinking of that as LinkedIn is as simple as this huge database where we can leverage relationships that have always existed but we couldn't see. Now we can see them, right? This relationship with these people and this guy, maybe it's been for years, but I couldn't see it. These are my friends, but they're also Brad's friends. That's the power of LinkedIn, my friends. Okay, so what do you do with that? Well, let's just look at this for a second. Can we connect with these people? Sure. Connect button's there. Should we connect with them? Well, I hope you're going to say maybe. Maybe I should connect with these people. That's why I want to get you to either maybe, and after you do a little more research, you go, I need to meet that dude. I got to make that happen. And the way I would go about that is I would look at Barbara's profile and I would spend time on it and see if she's described what she does or what she has done. And I might even call one of my mutual friends here. That's why they're there. That's why LinkedIn shows you those mutual connections. Not just because it's sort of nice that they're there. It's meant to be so you go, hey, Mark, how are you? Right? Mark's my first friend. And if Mark says, well, I don't know Barbara Mooney from Dean Foods. Well, she's in your LinkedIn. Well, I don't know everybody in my LinkedIn, Wayne. Sorry. Have a nice day. Don't let that frustrate you. We keep moving on. Marty, how you doing? I'm doing great. Or send an email. I don't care how you do that. I just want you to find out if your friend really knows that person. And if Marty says, yeah, I'm good to go. Wayne, I know her. I know her well. We're good friends. You go, yeah. Now we're cooking, right? Now we got a chance to make something happen with Marty in between. Now I can tell you what Marty doesn't want to do. He he doesn't want to have a meeting. He doesn't want to have cups of coffee or go to Badger games or sit, or he's too busy for that. So the 3 questions you'll typically ask your referral source. These 3 questions, you ready? Write these down, I would. Number 1, do you know them? Because if they don't, you move on, just like we did with the first one, right? Number 2, you see any reason why they wouldn't have a conversation with me and hear about what I do and how I might be able to help them? And that question is basically to go, listen, his boss will never let him spend any money on stuff like that. I know, he complains all the time. Or his sister-in-law does that very thing, Wayne. You're barking up the wrong tree. I get it.
What is the second question?
So second question is, do you see any reason why she wouldn't want to hear from me and hear about the way maybe I've helped your company? I could help hers. See any hurdle that you see in me reaching out to her because you go, I'm not interested in that, right? Because you've already done the research on her profile and you say to her, she should want to hear from me, right? But then you might find something out that he knows about her, right? Third question, can I use your name in our relationship when I reach out to her? Can I use your name in our relationship? Now notice I didn't say when I connect with her. I didn't say when I connect with her because I might not use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is always the research tool, not always the communication tool. And my tip-off is usually something like this. That will usually tell me what to do, or a really sparse profile will sometimes tell me, forget it. Use a telephone, look for their email, use it, try to use an outside tool. I use Scrape. In this case, it didn't find her email address, so what's Scrape? Scrape is a Google Chrome extension download, SKRAPP. It's free. It will put a red find email box on everybody's profile as long as you use LinkedIn in Chrome after you've downloaded Scrape. But if I see that they don't look like they're a LinkedIn user, that's the point I'm trying to get to, right? Do they look like they're on this thing once a year? Or they look like they're on there every week or so? And usually this will tell you and how busy how much information they've shared on their profile, right? Because otherwise you're going to waste your time. I got a note the other day from a guy said, Wayne, this is the person I've been trying to get a hold of. And he sends me the link to this person's profile. It's a president of a really sizable company. And I said, I sent a connection request a month ago and I haven't heard anything. I said, well, look, 38 connections? You think you're going to be lucky enough to be Mr. 39? Right? I mean, use your head. Now, the good news was there was information on the profile, so he came up in the search, but now just use a different technique other than LinkedIn to get a hold of him. Doesn't mean LinkedIn didn't help you. It did help you. Right? How would we have found the name of all these logistics people without LinkedIn? We would have called in these companies and go, can I talk to somebody in logistics? And then you would have got voicemail. Okay? Now I gave you a tool. What's that?
Please repeat the third question.
Oh, the third question is, can I use your name and our relationship when I reach out to them? That's the third question. Okay, now one of the handouts you have today, and also the handouts we've included with today's broadcast, is my LinkedIn communications templates. At the bottom of this page, the front page, there's 3 examples of really nicely written connection requests. Anybody know how many characters you get on a connection request? 300. It's 300 characters. You got to be very succinct. But this is where people will sometimes go wrong. They will hit this button right here. Or they will be using their cell phone and they'll be all excited. Oh my gosh, it's the lady from Teen Foods. And what does she get in her inbox? Nothing? A connection request, of course, but nothing on it. Or, I'd like you to join my network on LinkedIn. Something silly like that. And all she's thinking is spam with a capital S. Instead of, Marty Gilbert suggested we connect. Oh, Marty did? Because I did my homework. Marty said it was fine. Marty knows her. Marty thought it would be interesting for her to talk to you. That's what these templates are trying to help you. Try to help you write a really good 300-character connection request because that's how you're going to get through to a stranger. Now, you're not going to get connected to every stranger. Even if they have 500 plus, you might not. But here's what I do know. even if they don't connect with you, and you write a really nice note, and it looks like they're fairly active on LinkedIn, they will probably look at your what? Right. They'll at least look at your profile. And if that baby's all tidied up and ready for your mom, right? If it's ready for your mom, it's ready for them. And they'll at least know who you are and what your company does. Doesn't mean they might not be ready for the connection request. But to me, what you've just had is a marketing event. It's a marketing event. You took somebody from your target audience and waltzed them over to you and said, take a look at this stuff. You will like it. How much did that marketing event cost you? Zip. Is there a better tool around than that? A marketing event from somebody in your target audience and you caused it? Hello. It's a piece of cake, my friends. Next page. Thank you note. If they do connect, and I think if you write the connection request right and you're doing the referral thing, it's going to be like 3/4 of them will say yes. Thank you note. The thank you note is where the meat is, okay? If you don't do a thank you note and try to get together an appointment or something, then all you're doing in LinkedIn is collecting names like baseball cards. And you're going to shove them in the closet and they're going to get dust around them. And you're going to go, oh, Wayne, yeah, I like LinkedIn. I got 1,500 connections. And I'll always follow up with this. And have those connections helped you, or have you helped them at all? Well, I don't know. They're just connections. Well, then don't be on the dumb thing. You're supposed to be on it to get meetings and get appointments, and right? That's what it's about. And that's why the thank you note is critical. Now, they may still not respond to the thank you note, right? But you've written a nice thank you note. They've had 2 touch points with you that were well written, professionally sounding, nice person. Here's my website. At a minimum, they're going to have a good feeling about who you are in your company, but it might not be their time to make switch vendors yet. You don't know, right? But think about what you've got from that point going forward is you have a first-degree connection with the decision maker. What does that allow you to do? What's your first name again? Bob. I was telling Bob before the event about one technique. One technique is when you're doing these searches, don't forget, once in a while, to come in here and click this button with your target audience. Because once you click that button, I probably won't have any people at the first degree, but I might. Let's get rid of that second. Just go to first. I do. Once you do first degree with your target audience, look what shows up here. Now the button doesn't say don't message. Right? The button says message. Now, I was talking to Bob because Bob was going to post something in his status updates about what a change that's going on in his business. Do I think it's appropriate? I think it's totally appropriate. But it won't be seen by many people because of the way status updates work. And we'll talk about that just in a little bit here. But it won't be seen by many people. This message dropped into those 4 inboxes. They got to at least delete you, right? Hopefully they'll read it. Now, if you do that too often, if you decide you're going to do this once a week, yuck, right? Use etiquette. Think about how you like to be treated. You can use the message box. That's what it's for. But if you overuse the message box, like emailing people too many times, bye, disconnect. Okay, so I've shown you what to do once we find these people. Let me show you just 2 other ways to find people really quickly that you probably haven't thought of yet. One of them is this. Connections of. See this filter box right here? I wish this was green. I wish they'd actually put green on that because that would be the color of money. Then you'd see the green and go, oh yeah, green must mean that's a goodie, right? Here's the deal. That box lets you use all these filters into one of your network's network. In other words, if Bob and I are friends, and maybe even a client, and Bob would help me with referrals, instead of me going to Bob, hey Bob, you know, referrals are important to me, and I always hate to ask this question, but anybody you know that I should be talking to that you know? Right? We all hesitate that. I call it the little referral kabuki dance, right? Like we don't want to ask, but we know it works, and this guy's always helped you, right? Instead, I put Bob's name in here. I do my search. I come up with the 6 or 8 people that look really interesting in his network because I've done my homework ahead of time. And I say, Bob, I respect your time, but I've been so thankful of all the referrals you've given me in the past. You are the best, my friend, and I want to make sure I can return the favor to you anytime you want. But today, I found these 6 or 8 people in your network and wondered if we could just have a little chat about them. And it's the 3 questions I just showed you, right? Those 3 questions, again, you're going to ask Bob about that short list of people. And then you're going to run back to your office and you're cooking, right? You're cooking because you're able to drop his name into every connection request or every phone call. And it at least means something other than, you don't know me, but you should buy my stuff. But if Bob says it's okay, that's a friend of his, oh, right? That button is hot, my friends. Take advantage of it. Next search feature I want to show you that a lot of people haven't found is the university page. Put in the name of a school you're interested in. And of course, since we're in Madison, we will do Madison. This is the university page. It's put out there by the school. School builds this page. This is not fun until this button right here. See this blue button right here? After today, you're going to hit that blue button so often, it's going to start getting gray around the edges. I know it's going to get gray around the edges because you're going to overuse it. Look at what it does for us. It takes us to a page called Madison Career Insights. It's only 250,000 people. And you went to school there, and so did they. And we can filter these people by where they live, where they work, what they do, what they studied, what they're skilled at, and how you're connected. So if you're interested in the ones that live in Chicago, click on Chicago. And if you're interested in the people who are in finance, you click finance. And there is the 1,700 people right here just waiting for you. Here they are, just waiting for you. Now, if you want to also do this, you want to come in over here and search by some keyword, like we'll try CPA and see what comes up. So only 4 finance people have the word CPA. There they are. We can use the keyword box. I call it the wildcard box. We can also use dates. That's pretty cool. This is all for free. This tool is sitting there for free. Most people don't know it exists. I have one client, this is the only thing they do on LinkedIn. They say, I just worked the alumni thing. I went to school like Madison. And that way you can use the Madison thing in your connection request. The third little connection request talks about Marquette. It usually will open the door. You don't have to get a hold of Bob. You just use the Madison thing to get a hold of people, right? And we know that in regular old networking. But we've sort of forgotten those kind of blocking and tackling techniques when we get to a tool like LinkedIn. University page is wonderful. And you can also use any school you want. It's not limited to your own school. And by the way, this is the #1 recruiting tool on LinkedIn. It's the #1 recruiting tool on LinkedIn. Why? Because you can search by major. You can search by date range. So if you want to find engineers that went to Madison 5 years ago, it's pretty simple. And if you want to find them in a certain city, just use that filter. It's a wonderful tool, my friends. You're going to love it. You're going to wear it out. Your blue button's going to be gray around the edges, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so those are my techniques. There's a bunch of other searching techniques you'll see in the invite column. We don't have time to go through them all. So we have covered invite follow-up. That's the thank you note, right? Invite follow-up. Now my game plan says this, 10 people a week. And that's how you're going to get it done in an hour. In an hour, you're going to say, I want to meet 10 new people every week from one of these searching features on LinkedIn. So every week I'm going to send 10 connection requests, written correctly, to strangers, and then I'm going to also follow up. So I might have some follow-ups this week, and I might have my 10 that I'm going to send out. So that if you follow this routine of 10 people a week, people in your target audience using any of these search features on LinkedIn, you'll come back here next year to the DreamBank in February and go, hey, Wayne, guess what? No, what? How you doing? You were here last year? Yeah, I was here last year. Cool. How did it go so far? Well, I followed it religiously. I said, so tell me, you invited 520 people? Yeah. At least, but I always made sure, I never went home on Friday without my 10. Good. How many do you think connected with you? Well, they didn't all. I said, I didn't say they would all. Well, maybe 2/3 or 3/4. I said, okay, so you got 375-ish new decision makers in your network. Guess what you can do now? You can message those 375 people with your latest and greatest, newest thing you got going on, can't you? Because you open the privilege of messaging by them adding you as a connection request. Right? And you're sitting, and you do that year after year. Before you know it, you go, Wayne, I got 4,000 connections, but 2,500 of them are spot on. And anytime I want, I can go do a search. When I go out of town, I put Chicago in, and I know who I'm going to call on. And all the filters will work for you great if you make sure that your network's made up of decision makers following a routine like this. Okay, so let's move to the next two columns over. Well, let's skip back to this one. Lay the groundwork. Lay the groundwork is, the idea behind lay the groundwork is maybe you want to do something ahead of time prior to a connection request. Two things you could consider. One, just look at their profile. In other words, look at their profile and don't hit the connect button today. Look at their profile and let the dust settle a little bit. And then keep an eye on who's viewed your profile, right? Because if you see, you looked at them, some will look back, and you see that, great time for a connection request. Great time for a connection request. So that's one thing you might want to do. Because then you at least know they already looked at your profile. They already know who you are. So when you zoom in there with the connection request, they go, oh, I know who Wayne is. Yeah, I know who he is. I already looked at his profile. And they're more apt to connect, especially if after looking at your profile, they do think you could help them. Right? They do. They've maybe gone one more step down the road here. Okay. The second idea behind this is to, let's say I'm interested in connecting with Chris. The idea behind this is to spend some time on a person's profile. Of course, now I've looked, that step's done. But see if that person has posted any information or shared any information. And to the extent that they've written, this is a written article, this is a written article, this is a sharing of articles. If somebody has taken the time to write the articles, that means it's important to them and they took a lot of time to do it. And if you want to get their attention prior to a connection request, why don't you try this? Share the article, hit the share button right from the article, and then go over here and say, this is an outstanding, watch this, I don't want you to miss this, @ Chris Rudolph, click. Thanks for taking the time to share. Hit the share button. Is it okay for me to do that? He's going to give me a big hug. Why? Because what just took place? What did I just do by doing that? Especially with the @ sign and grabbing his name. Because I let him into my network, didn't I? I basically opened my door and said, Chris, I like what you wrote. You're a good dude. We're friends. I'm going to open the door to my 18,000 people. Some will see it. And not only that, some will see the article, but they'll also see your name is blue. Mm-hmm. They may click that blue name and go right to your... Right. So if you do that as a lay the groundwork step with somebody who took the time to write an article, they're going to get that, and they're going to get pinged in their inbox, aren't they? Wayne Breitbart just mentioned you in an update. And they're going to go, who's Wayne Breitbart? I think I'll look at Wayne Breitbart's. Right. You just caused the view to your profile, and they're not mad because they want this article to go to as many people as they can. They're not like going, ooh, why would he put my name in? It's just the opposite. They're going, I got to get this Wayne dude to do this more often. I got more views than I ever had on an article. But think about that. And then you waltz in and ask for a connection request. You've helped them already. You used your network to give them some more reads and views, and now you ask for a connection request. It's like, this Wayne dude's okay. I think I will connect with him. It's very helpful. Now, you don't share articles, though, that are not on your brand, probably. You know, if they're high science level articles and you've got nothing to do with that kind of science, you might not share that because it's off brand. Make sure the things you do, the shares, likes, and comments that you do on LinkedIn are on your brand. And be very careful. And the reason I asked Chris about this article is I have shared articles in the past where I didn't read the full article. Right? And I got to the bottom of an article, get this. It was from another LinkedIn trainer. Like a friend of mine said, Wayne, did you really want to share that guy's article? It was from Forbes. It was a really good article. But if you read all the way to the bottom, one of your competitors wrote the crazy thing. And I said, oh my gosh, that is nuts. Why would I ever do that? Because I just shortcut it, right? I didn't take the time, read the article, see if it's on brand or see if it might be sort of silly to do, right? Now, sometimes I share some of my competitors' stuff, but as a rule, I try to stay away from it. So read the article, make sure it's on your brand, you feel good about the share, but the lay the groundwork technique, you can see how that could work. Okay, now let's talk about engaging and sharing. I want you to think about doing 10 engagements and shares a week. The easiest way to do that, especially in the engage step, is go to your notifications tab. Okay, the notifications tab. Fairly new on LinkedIn. It's only been around for a year. Very thankful for this tab. You know why I'm thankful for this tab? Is because the home feed, you know your home feed, right? People are spending less and less time on the home feed, at least the people I talk to. Because it's just busy with what? Ads, likes and shares from some of your friends, so it's off topic, but they thought it was on topic. And before you know it, your feed is getting less and less important. You're going, well, it's not really what I want to read. It's not really what I'm interested in. Notification tab gives you great steps on things that only take place with your network and your activity. So in other words, it's showing the things that I successfully showed the people that liked and mentioned. Okay, so here's a good one. When somebody mentions you in a post or comments, here's what you should do. Let's say open this one up. Let's open this one up. She liked. I usually don't do it for a like but here's replied to a comment. If somebody comments or likes, or comments or shares on a post that you did, I would always come in. Now in this case, I already said thank you once before. I would always hit like, and I would reply, thank you, put the person's name in, grab their name, right? Every one of those interactions, the like and the share comment and the @ is an interaction from that LinkedIn likes you doing and gives this post a lot more traction. As opposed to just saying thank you without their name. See the difference? If you're going to say thank you, and you should say thank you, somebody did something nice for you. Let's not forget our mom did teach us that. It's funny how if I say you're welcome to somebody, sometimes I get a note and say, nobody says that anymore, Wayne. I say, well, I still do, because I still think it sounds great to say you're welcome. Right? It's old school, but you know what? It should make a comeback if we start using it virtually and not just, in person we would say you're welcome. Of course we would, but we sometimes forget it here. So like Greg missed an opportunity by not going thank you at Nancy Major. LinkedIn would have seen that as one more kind of interaction, and then Nancy would have got the note and Greg did that thing for her, okay? So engage and share, my friends. Think about being very purposeful about that. Don't be afraid to reshare something that you wrote a month ago. Let me show you how that works. If you're doing the article thing on LinkedIn, and I know a lot of people don't do the article thing because not everybody's a writer, and or blessed to have a wife that's a really good writer. That's what I got. My secret weapon is I'm really good at LinkedIn, but Brenda is super duper 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 good at grammar and all the other stuff. As a matter of fact, she wants to, catch this, she wants to look at every tweet. I said, honey, can I do 140 characters now 280 without you? No, because I see typos all the time in your crazy tweets, and I don't want your brand out there like that. So I'm blessed to have a nice wife that helps me with my writing. But if you're writing articles on LinkedIn, and I get this question all the time from people, Wayne, I wrote this article and I only got 5 views and 1 comment and 1 share. That was when you pushed publish 1 time. I said, why don't you go in here and share this thing a few more times? Why don't you go grab the way I like to share these, reshare, is I will go grab a quote, typically. I will come over here and grab a quote that I think is catchy, and I'll come over and I'll hit the share button, and I'll drop that quote into here. I'll put quotes around it. And then I might say something else, like something else about the article, right? Sort of attracting them. Now, that's the same thing I do when I land on other people's pages and I'm trying to get their attention or help them. I will grab a quote from that article and I will say, so says at such and such in this article that you can't miss reading. Keep sharing the stuff that you've already written, and that it'll get a lot more traction if you keep rolling it out. Now, people will ask me this question a lot too. Well, this article is also on my blog post, Wayne. Am I better off sharing my blog post into LinkedIn or resharing this thing on LinkedIn? Easy answer. Always resharing on LinkedIn. Here's why. LinkedIn really doesn't want us leaving LinkedIn, right? They really want us to stay on that site and share back and forth and never go way out here to YouTube or way out here to your blog post. They don't really want us to go there. Now, we want website hits. Yeah. So, you're balancing. I would say you're going to get a lot more activity if you use share within LinkedIn. But from time to time, you do want to send people to your website. Don't get me wrong. I think it's still it's a technique you should use. Okay. All right. So I got 30 minutes a week in your game plan for doing your sharing, liking, commenting, engaging. And I think the notifications tab is a home run for that. Do not miss things like birthdays, anniversaries. The notification will show you all the people that have your birthdays. Don't forget, viewed your profile. It'll show you, put a link to who's viewed your profile. It's the #1 rated feature on LinkedIn, by the way. What? What's the #1 rated feature on LinkedIn? Who's viewed your profile? I do a survey of all the people that are on the email list. If you're not on my email list and you're in the audience, be sure to leave this, fill this out before you leave, and check the first box. But I do a survey every year asking what their favorite features are on LinkedIn. For the last 4 years, the #1 rated feature is who's viewed your profile. 4 years straight, no, without question. Now, some people call it the creepy, stalking. That's what it is. But I think one of the reasons that it's the #1 rated feature is because none of the other social media sites have it, right? You can't see that on Facebook. We can't see that on Pinterest. We can't see it on Instagram. It doesn't show you who just viewed. On LinkedIn, we get that. So it tends to be, first blush, it feels a little creepy. But here's the point. If somebody's looked at your profile, something's up. Now, there are spammers. Don't let the few spammers that creep into your invitations and creep into who's viewed your profile let you have an attitude about those two kind of activities on LinkedIn. There will be spammers. Move on. Some of those people looking at your profile have been sent there by customers who love you, right? Think about that. And I like to look at my who's viewed your profile instead of going, what do you want? Why are you there? That attitude. Instead I go, you're here to buy something, aren't you? I'm pretty sure you are. Let's try to have a conversation here. It's all a matter of how you look at these lists of people, and instead of going, right? So it really is, the problem most people have is right between their ears, that they approach the list by going, you're looking at my profile. I'll bet you are not totally bored today with nothing else to do, and that's why you looked at me, right? You're here because you looked at my profile, you looked at my website, you heard from a friend how darn good I am, and you want to buy something. Well, I'm not going to let you walk into my store without saying, hello, thanks for visiting today. Store meaning your profile. You wouldn't do that if you ran a retail store like this and somebody walked in, you would look against the wall. You would, hi, how you doing? Thanks for taking the time to stop in. Think of who's viewed your profile. Profile's your store. And that's the little buzzer on the door. Right? The little buzzer goes off. Oh, somebody's here. I bet you they're just not so bored and need a warm place to hang out today. They're here because they want my stuff. Now, some people will shake your hand and say, yeah, I went to the wrong place. Well, hope you have a nice day. If you ever need my stuff, this is where I'm at. Have a good one. Right? You'd still probably be polite to them. Notifications, my friends. Home run section. I'm thankful LinkedIn keeps it clean without advertising and stuff. Right? Let's not tell them how much we like this section. Because I'm afraid they will junk it up, right? They'll junk it up because if we spend too much time here, they go, we better put some more ads in there somehow. We got to make some money on this deal. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We are approaching the end. I just want to review where we've been, okay? Starting off with good profile, right? Get your profile right, my friends. Good profile usually has lots of keywords in the right spots, so the search engine works for you. Number 2, tells great stories about you, your company, and the services you offer, or what you're trying. Your storytelling about why you're on LinkedIn and why you're better than your competitors. Once your profile's right, start using the search tools on LinkedIn. I showed you just a few. And start meeting people virtually. Don't be nervous about it. Write a nice note. And follow up with the ones that do with a thank you note. At a minimum, they're going to think you're a nice person when you get done with these 2 nice notes. They may not be ready to buy, but you probably got a bunch of them as a first-degree connection that we can now send professionally written messages going forward, right? You can always consider going back to lay the groundwork by either viewing their profile ahead of the connection request or using the app mentioned if they're writing articles or sharing things. And then spend time each week. Notifications tab, looking for ways you can engage with the people that are already engaged in your stuff or share some of your own information. Don't forget to reshare some of the information you've already written and is already sitting on your profile. That will be an hour a week. I know it sounds like a lot more than that, but once you get your routine down, it's not. I've tested it, and I've even given myself some slack because I'm pretty darn good at this stuff. It will be an hour a week, my friends. Set yourself your goal. 10 people a week, 10 kind of interactions and articles a week.